Hello and welcome to another edition of Astronomy Spotlight. My name is Kirk Rosberg. I'm the Planetarium Coordinator here at the Hastings Museum. This month we are looking at supermoons. It's an interesting topic right now because we have a supermoon coming up in April and also other supermoons coming up a bit later. But first off, because there is some confusion as to what a supermoon is, we need to define a supermoon. The term supermoon was coined back in 1979 by an astrologer, not an astronomer, named Richard Knoll. The term took a bit longer to come into use in pop culture, but it has since done that. And so now we talk about supermoons on a fairly regular basis. So he defined a supermoon as a new or full moon which occurs with the moon at or near within 90% of its closest approach to Earth in a given orbit. So supermoons can then occur based on that, at new or full moon, when the moon is 224,791 miles from the Earth or closer. Now, that is a generous distance. So this month, or this year, we actually have 3 full moons, which are supermoons, and 1 new moon later on this year. Now, some astronomers think 90% is too generous. And so it kind of depends on the source that you use as to how many supermoons there might actually be in a particular year. But we're going to use his definition, Mr. Knoll's definition, at 90%. So we have 3 super full moons. They are April 27th, May 26th, and June 24th of this year. 3 months in a row. And this is not terribly uncommon. Astronomers also have a term or phrase used to denote when the moon is at its nearest point to the Earth: perigee. So we used to call it a perigean full moon. Although quite honestly, supermoon is a lot catchier, and I can kind of understand why that has caught on so well in pop culture. Why do supermoons get hyped up so much? Some astronomers would also like to know the answer to that. What is the difference between an average full moon and a supermoon? Well, the moon can appear between 7% and 14% larger than normal. The average is 7%. But the difference between a full moon at apogee, which is when the moon is at its farthest from the Earth, and at perigee, when, again, it is at its closest to the Earth, is about 14%. 14% difference. It's not easy for the average person who just glances at the moon occasionally as they're walking from their car to their house to see or really notice a 7% increase in size. But it might be possible for folks who regularly observe the moon to notice a 14% difference in size, certainly. However, the average person might notice an increase in the brightness of a supermoon, as it can be 30% brighter than when the moon is at its farthest from the Earth, or at apogee. It is also known that at a supermoon, full or new, that the tides on Earth will be more affected with the increase of the height of a wave by a little more than an inch or several centimeters. Now, May 26th supermoon will also occur the same night as a total eclipse of the moon. But those of us living in Nebraska and in that general area will not see a total lunar eclipse. More on that in next month's episode. Now, some trivia for you here. When does the closest supermoon of this century occur? Well, it actually occurs December 6th of the year 2052. And one more bit of trivia, and this is a very interesting one, totally unrelated to the supermoon. What is the closest planet to the Earth? Without Googling it. The answer might be a bit of a surprise. It's Mercury. Yes, the closest planet to the Sun is also the closest planet to the Earth. And if you don't believe me, and for the full explanation as to why that is, Google it. All right, that is it for this month's edition of Astronomy Spotlight. Thank you for joining me.